What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Scalability Podcast. And today we are in the home of Anton Leftwich, who, you know what's really interesting? Anton and I met over 2 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we did.
And after, so he had followed up with me after 2 years, right? And this is like the power of follow-up, guys. So Anton, why don't you just actually tell us a little bit about you and summarize a little bit about your background in business?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that. Fortune is in the follow-up, right? One of my mentors told me that a long time ago. And so it is key, follow up with people. And I was actually just going through my phone and I was thinking to myself, you know what? All these relationships I have right here in my phone, and I'm not even really utilizing them to the maximum capacity that I could be. Mm-hmm. So, and I was going for my run around the property right here like I do every day. And I just started reaching out to people.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. I actually got your secretary, and it was really cool that she kind of put me onto you, and we just connected that way, really genuinely, and really with no outcome in mind. Didn't have any kind of agenda, just want to connect with people. Yeah. And the energy was just instantaneous, right? So, and that's what my brand is, Champ Legacy, and it's just about, being a champion, right? Courage, honor, ambition, mentality, persistence, integrity, nobility, ownership. So my agenda, my gift, I feel like in life is just relationships, and all it is connecting with people, genuine energy. Nice. And so, I have a financial services company, what I do as well. For my service, what I do to create income, but I feel like you should also have a gift that you give to the world. Yeah, something that you would do for free.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why we do this podcast, right? Like, I got asked yesterday, we just shot another podcast with one of my clients, and the guy was like, oh, so you do podcasts full time? He's watching us because we did it in public. And I was like, no, I actually own a company, right? That's how I generate my money. We do virtual staff, in the Philippines and Latin America. But the podcast, this is my way of giving back to the world, right? Mm-hmm. This could generate money in the long term, maybe. But do I actually care? No, because we have our way of making money, right? Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I think a big part of this podcast and why people are going to watch it or people are going to listen in, right, is because they want to scale their business. Mm-hmm. So I'm always trying to get to the nitty gritty of okay, what got you to the point where you're at in your business? So if you could give people an idea how long you've been in your business, and just let's start getting into, those specific kind of details. Yeah.
Well, interesting story. I really just fell into it. I didn't pick it. It picked me. I've been in sales my whole life since I was 18 years old, really doing different things. And one day I was transitioning out of what I was currently doing, and a friend of mine just said, hey, you should go sell insurance. Yeah. And I was like, okay. Yeah. At that time, I was just so open to different things. I just was wanting to do something different. Mm-hmm. I had no idea of how I was going to do it, but I did some research, and it's, one of the highest paid industries in the world and on the planet. So, if you can get in there and make an impact, you can do pretty well for yourself. So
let me ask you this. A lot of people will, they'll think of insurance and they'll think man, it's saturated. You have all these different companies, thousands and thousands of agents. Yeah. What do you say to somebody who has that mindset?
Well, everybody, you got two kids, right? They had a drunk father, right? Father was a drunk their whole life. One kid grew up, became drunk. The other kid became really successful. You ask them why they are the way they are, and their answer is the same. My dad was a drunk. Yeah. So it's just about mentality. Is the way I feel about it is it's just what you feel like you can bring to the table, what you feel like you can bring to the world. You can go sell cars. You can go have oranges you can go sell oranges on the corner. Yeah. You can go open up a restaurant. It really doesn't matter what you do. If you have a mentality of I just want to go out and make an impact, and of course relationships is the most important thing of everything. Yep. So it's just about how you feel about it. Those people who feel like it's saturated, they'll go in with the energy that it's saturated. Yep. And people who feel like they'll go out and make an impact, they'll go in with the energy that they'll go out and make an impact, and they probably will. Guess what? They're both right.
Yeah. You know what? That is true. I love that story that you told. I heard it, a long time ago, but it's 100% right. So for me personally, as a business owner now, I love saturation, right? Because I know if I go into a market where there's saturation, that means that people are spending money, right? And then there's so I don't have to convince people to buy my product. They're already buying it, right? And I just have to, separate myself, whether it's better service, doing something a little bit different. Like you just have to separate yourself and then make sure that everybody knows you. So for you, one thing that I did notice, so I think the people who are very successful in insurance are the people that figure out their niche, right? They figure out like, okay, because I personally think like if you're an insurance agent and you're like, I work with everybody, like to me, you're a clown. Like you're not, right. that tells me that you don't know what you're doing. But when I talk to, like, we're going to do an interview with a guy named Rudy, who when you ask him like what type of insurance he does specifically, we work specifically with educators. We are experts. We understand educators. We understand their backgrounds, their situations. We understand everything about them. Right? Will we work with other people? Sure. Sometimes we'll work with the teacher and then their husband or wife wants us to do a policy for them or review their investments, whatever. Right? But they're not targeting that. Right. And I noticed with you, when I was doing my research on you, you like to work with entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
So tell us about that.
Absolutely. Well, since I think like an entrepreneur, I kind of know how they think, and it's easy to have a conversation. And usually through that conversation, a need will come up.
Totally.
And I have an acronym for most people that I help. It's MACHO. They're married, they're age 40 to 75, they have children, they're homeowners, or they've been at their occupation for more than 5 years.
Yeah.
So I already know kind of where the need's going to lie. It's just a matter of having a genuine conversation. I say this a lot. I may sound like a robot when I'm saying it, but it is what it is, and I mean it. So in conversation, just being in flow, really wanting to help people, you'll hear things that they say, and you'll think of a need, and then it comes out eventually in the rinse.
So let me answer this. When it comes to, like, for example, working with entrepreneurs versus working with like, an educator or other, niches, doctors, what's the biggest differences that you notice?
Oh gosh, it's a good question. Really, it's a lot of it's mentality. I mean, I don't want to cliche it or anything, but you kind of have a poor mindset. Some people have a poor mindset. Some people have an employee mindset. Other people have an entrepreneur mindset. They have an abundance mindset. So really, you just have to kind of understand your audience. Yeah. And as far as working with like doctors or someone who owns a business or someone who's an employee, it's just they both have a need. Yeah. But it's just a matter of how can you get them to relate to what it is you're trying to do for them, and make it palatable too, where they can digest it, right? Yeah, and I know you're someone who networks and you have a lot of resources, right? So my guy who has my insurance policy right now, he has my insurance policy not because I was looking for life insurance, but because he met me at the beginning when I was building my business, when I was like at nothing, and he followed up with me over time, and it wasn't just following up with me over time. It was like, man, I need a bookkeeper. Oh, here, I got you. Oh, man, I need someone to do this. Oh, I got you. I need someone. Like, he was always there for me. And actually, not even just that, helping me get clients. He gave me a lot of referrals too, right? So it's like, I feel like naturally when someone becomes like that resource for you for whatever it is that you need, you're just naturally compelled to like, I'm going to give you my business. And on top of that, when you can turn, a policy or whatever it is into as part of like a strategy so that you can pay less in taxes and stuff like that, then it becomes more valuable. So like that, I guess like when you're working with entrepreneurs, do you deploy your services as part of like their tax strategy as well? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's all kinds of things you can do with insurance. And a lot of people probably see tons of videos out there because once again, it is very saturated. Yeah. There's ways you can use different types of insurance to have a tax-free retirement or build a legacy. Or can you give us like a specific example right now? Because there's a lot of people here who are like barely getting started in business that are watching this who have no idea. They haven't talked to my insurance guy. They haven't talked to anybody, right? Like, and this, one of my clients and like really good friends, Andres Lopez, like the first time he linked up, my guy, he saved like almost like $40K a year in taxes, right? So like, can you give us like a very practical, like, okay, hey, you just made like your first like $1 million year. Yeah, sure. So say you're an entrepreneur. Let's just take that for an example, since that's a lot of what I work with. All right. And you want to set up an account where you're not necessarily going to have to worry about what happens in the market, but you're going to make some type of interest. And over time, you're going to have a strategy where when you go to retirement, you can now live off of that account tax-free. Okay. Well, things like that exist. All right. You take a lump sum of money or you take an annual sum of money and you put it into an account. And that account will earn interest every single year. It will never have to worry about what the market does. You can only participate in the upside. If it goes down, the floor is zero, so you don't have to worry about it. Right? So you've got security. Yeah. And then at the end of that, what you're going to do is you're going to withdraw income from that every single year in retirement tax-free.
Okay.
Okay. So the account will grow tax-free, and you will take the money out tax-free. And the way you do that is in the form of a loan. So you're the bank. You can become your own private family bank, basically, is how we structure people to do that.
Oh, okay.
If you want to borrow from yourself. Want to buy a car? Borrow from yourself. Why get a loan from the finance company when you have the money to do it yourself? This takes time to do.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not something you start today and utilize tomorrow. Okay, there's a period of time you want to fund this so it has more power for you to be able to take from it. But there's a way to do that.
Interesting. And then like when you're borrowing from yourself, do you like give yourself like an interest rate or something like that? Or?
Absolutely. And there's different ways. There's different interest rates you can give yourself. You know, you can have fixed interest rate or you can have variable interest rate. Or if the market does better than what you paid that year, then you made money for borrowing from yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it.
Got it. So, now I'm curious, like you as an agent, right? So how many years have you been a licensed agent?
Oh gosh, going on like 10 years now.
10 years.
And it's over time, I've just gotten almost every license under the sun.
Yeah.
Just from doing more and having to provide more and even trying to find my niche and like not really knowing who I wanted to work with, just knowing that when someone came to me, I didn't want to say, no, I don't do that.
Totally.
You know, because I went through that period where, I got to be able to help everybody.
Yeah.
You know, but over time, you just kind of fall into your groove. So
yeah. I mean, even for me too, man. Like it took me a while to find my niche with my company. So when we first started Outsourceplug, I remember I was a marketing director at Century 21, and I had real estate agents all around me. So naturally, I'm like, let's find virtual assistants for real estate agents. Like it was just like extremely natural. But then it turns out that working with real estate agents, they were like not a good client to work with.
Really?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. They're not organized. They don't have operational intelligence. They're pretty incompetent when it comes to software for the most part.
Wow.
Yeah, they sign up for these big companies like Century 21, Compass, Keller Williams, all these different companies, and they get all this software that comes with it. They never use it. And they don't want to learn how to use it. But if they realize like, hey, you can have your freedom, you can save 80% of your time, but they don't want to do it. And then when it comes to like working with like an assistant, having an assistant in person for them is a struggle.
Right.
In person. Imagine they don't even see their assistant. And that's what we do. We hire assistants overseas as well as in Nicaragua. So it just turned into like a lot of like, I'll hire an assistant, but you want me to manage your assistant. It's like, no. Like, our markup is not big enough for me to manage the person for you. Right? Like if you want like a done for you service, you need to work with like a marketing agency, right? You need to work, but if you want to work with the marketing agency, you're going to pay marketing agency prices.
Yep.
Right? And that's another thing too. It's like the way that like real estate agents, they make their income where, they don't know when their next check is coming in. Right. So like what we found when I was niching down, I'm like, okay, I started like writing down like who would be like the perfect kind of client. So I want clients who have a good idea of how much monthly income they're going to make. I want clients who already have employees. I want clients who already have software. And I started just making this list, and I have it to this day is a 3-page list that like my sales team, my marketing team, like this is all that we go after.
Right.
And we're like, okay, when we're thinking about our marketing message, we're thinking about networking, we're thinking about cold calls, we're thinking about everything. We look at that list, right? So, and then now what's cool is like, we would hire a virtual assistant for a real estate agent and, part-time, 20 hours a week, their bill might be like, I don't know, maybe $600 to $800 a month for a part-time person. And they'd be like freaking out. Now we get clients because we niche down and they'll hire 3 to 5 people the first time they hire someone. And it's like, dude, thank God. And they're happy.
Because they have something to compare it to. Right?
Yeah. And the bigger clients, they're happy. They're hey, put it on the American Express card, bill it, like, thank you for, hey, a matter of fact, these 3 people were great. Can you find me 3 more like this?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When you have clients that have something to compare what you do to, and they have an experience with it already, I think that creates a lot of value, especially when you're good at what you do. The easiest clients for me to work with are the ones who already have life insurance. Right. They already value it. Or they already have a retirement plan that they're working on. You know what I mean?
So like, if you were to like break down like your top 2 favorite clients, like you've made a lot of money working with them. They've loved working with you. They appreciate you.
I can tell you that in 2 seconds.
Describe them.
Engineers.
Oh, okay.
They love numbers. Okay, I've got a client over at Google. He's a hardware engineer.
Yeah.
Okay, looks at everything we went over it.
Yeah.
Read all the books because all my clients, I suggest books to them. I always educate my clients. I don't ever just say, hey, believe what I say is true. I always give them sources outside of me so they don't just have to rely on my one perspective.
Yeah.
So I suggest books to them. I say, you don't have to read this, but I strongly recommend you do, because that'll make this process that much smoother. I gave him a book, he read it in a day. Gave him another book, he read it in 2 days. Came back, he's like, I'm done. He's like, what's next? I said, well, tell me what you think. And he's like, well, I mean, I understand this. I love it. And I love numbers. So, when it got time to look at the red tape, it was a more fulfilling conversation. It was an easier conversation, because the deeper you look, the better it gets.
So let me ask you a question. So knowing what you just said right now, so why don't you go spend your time only hunting engineers instead of entrepreneurs? Because entrepreneurs, we're crazy, bro.
Right.
We're crazy. Like, the way that we pay ourselves is tricky sometimes. We can literally go from having the whole world at our fingertips to negative, right? Like working with entrepreneurs can be tough, right? Unless you're like a more established, bigger company. Mm-hmm. But like, how come you don't just spend your time just straight on going after engineers?
Well, I guess that's a good question too. I mean, you can whale hunt all day, but at the end of the day, there's marketing, and then there's attraction marketing. There's people that you go out and find, and there's people who it's better if they find you, right? And what I found, my experience, is that the people that I go out and look for, macho, married, age 40 to 75, got children, own homes, been at their occupation more than 5 years. It's a lot of them more employee mindset. I'll go out and find them, and then I can have a conversation. When entrepreneurs find me, it's a much easier conversation than me going out and finding them.
Makes sense. You know what? So we just moved to Cupertino. And so we moved to Cupertino, and my son, the first 2 days we were there, he just disappeared because he was playing with all the kids in the neighborhood, right? The second day he comes back, he's like, Dad. He's like, everybody here's Indian or Russian.
In your neighborhood? Really? The only one?
And I was like, we're the only Latinos here, right? Like, I haven't seen any other.
Well, that should attract some people right there.
Right. So that's what, so when you talk about.
You're going to want to know what you do.
Yeah. So, when I talk about, engineers, I'm like, man, just go to my neighborhood, man.
Yeah, I bet. And Cupertino, say Cupertino?
Yeah, it's Apple's headquarters, right?
Absolutely.
So they're there in abundance, right? And I look at
that's true.
I look at all the cars in the neighborhood, a lot of Teslas, a lot of geeky kind of cars, right? But let's move it. I want to know a little bit more about your background, right? Because I feel like I feel like when you're talking to a person, you're looking at their business, looking at their character. I am so curious about how was your upbringing, and do you feel like your upbringing, is a big reason of why you are who you are today? Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, my upbringing I had a good childhood. I got whoopings, but I had a good childhood. My mom was not like here you go, here's a cookie kind of mom. Yeah. When you did good, she treated you real good. When you needed to be disciplined, she disciplined you. Yeah. You know what I mean? And my mom's my hero to this day, always will be. She's the most amazing person you'll ever meet in your life, I think. I feel like everybody should feel like that about their mom, if they have had a good relationship.
I do feel like that about my mom.
You know what I mean? And my mom gave me connection. My dad, I feel like, gave me a voice. My dad's always been in sales, always knew how to talk to people, always knew how to build relationships. So I probably get that from my dad. My mom gave me the heart. I always say to people that I feel like the whole world's love can fit inside my mom's love.
Wow, that's deep.
And that's what she gave me. So everything I do, I love hard, and I know I do. Yeah. And I had to learn how to protect myself, because sometimes everyone doesn't always have the capacity to love the way that you do. If you're walking around with a gallon trying to pour it into cups, doesn't always work. Or if your car runs on 91 and someone's putting 87 in it, it might perform, but it's not going to perform to its maximum potential.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where the whole champion thing came from. It really just came from a place of love. Yeah. When I thought of champion, and I was always calling people champion. From my adulthood on, I was always saying that, what's up, champion? Go get him, champion. Yeah. I just started saying that for some reason so much. And even my significant other to this day, I feel like I attracted her because she came with that concept of champion. She was saying it in her life, and I was saying it in mine. And when we came to talk about what it means to us, it was almost identical.
Yeah.
You know, so when I say champion, you know, courage, honor, ambition, mentality, persistence, integrity, ownership, nobility, all those things, that's champion. That's an acronym for champion. That's my personal acronym, champion. I got it right up here on my wall, and I got Muhammad Ali as kind of like a face of it, because when I look at Muhammad Ali, not everybody liked him.
Yeah.
But that dude stood by what he was about, and he didn't apologize for it.
Ever.
You know, and I feel like everything we say after the words "I am" is a declaration on our life. Right? So I am sick.
Yes.
Wish granted.
Yeah.
I am love. Wish granted. I am integrity. Wish granted. Whatever you feel, you say that. If it comes after I am, think about how you feel after that.
Damn.
And see if it's not true. And if you carry that torch throughout your life, I just feel like the things that I've attracted since I figured out who I was in that capacity have all been moving towards what I know God gifted me to do, which is just people. Yeah. I genuinely do love people.
Yeah.
Like I sit here and have a genuine conversation with you and be interested in what it is you care about.
So are you like wanting to eventually like become like a speaker and speak on stages and like motivate and inspire people?
Yeah, the funny thing is I've had several, and I'm not saying this to boast at all. I've had several people tell me I should do that.
Yeah.
And I would love to. Yeah. I would love to. Honestly, I've never pushed it to go in that direction.
Yeah.
But when given the opportunity, I always take it. I always make the best of it, what I can. For San Jose State University, you know, I go and I do their employee benefits fair, and nice. I do mentorship there. And then Sacramento Small Business Association, their Women's Business Center. Yeah. I do financial education for them. And throughout that process, it's funny. It always starts with financial education, but I always have these life anomalies that I incorporate into it, because I came from a company where it was all about self-development. It was all about leadership development. It was a financial firm. It was a brokerage. Yeah. But my mentor always poured into me becoming the best version of myself. Mm-hmm. And that's really why I will always be grateful that I got my start there. Mm-hmm. Because that's what I was taught the whole time. I was very well versed on money concepts and how insurance worked and things like that. But at the end of the day, it was just all about what you were feeling inside, your core belief, like the energy that you spoke with, energy that you said things with. And when you speak to people's heads, maybe they digest it, but if you speak to people's hearts, then it'll last forever. See,
and that's deep, right? Because so coming back to I'm gonna this kind of goes full circle back to what I was saying about my insurance guy who, like, you know, every time I need resources, he connects me. Mm-hmm. He's the complete opposite from you in terms of energy as a person, right? So, and that's a huge value add, having someone who's extremely positive like you, who I can pick up the phone and be like, yo, Anton, man, I don't know if I can keep going, or I don't know if I like.
I love those calls. I love those calls. Man, I've had a couple of people that I've met. They were just like, "Can I call you for a half hour once a week and just talk?" I was like, "Yeah, we can have a champion hour." You know what I mean?
Champion hour. I like that.
We can have a power hour, whatever you want to do. Yeah. You know? And that's how I felt when we first talked.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when we first talked.
I think it was an hour talk too.
we hardly talked about business. A lot of that was about life. Yeah. A lot about that was. I'm getting chills now. A lot about what that was why we do what we do, right? And I know you heard me like explode over the phone multiple times, and you were just like, "Man, you got to put that energy out there." Yeah. And I was like, "You know what? You're right." And now here we are, and we're doing it, right? We're making the moves. You know, when you got and do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? When you got to rest. When you got to cry. But when you got to move, right? And let the world work itself out. You know, I love the fact that that's what happened, and that's why I talk about not having an agenda. Yeah. I know everyone says begin with the end in mind and all this stuff, but I really feel like in this industry, especially in what I do, and I really I think this applies across the board as entrepreneurs. Right? We all have a product. We all have a service. We all have we didn't become an entrepreneur just be like, oh, I think I'll just go start my own business. We all feel like we had something to give, something to offer, right? Mm-hmm. But everybody nobody wants to be sold, but everybody loves to buy something, and everybody wants to invest, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you just be there and you're that person and naturally attract people that are about what you care about, then what are you fighting, really? You know what I mean? We were just naturally, genuinely talking to each other, naturally asking each other questions, And neither one of us really had an outcome. And at the end of that call, we were just like, bro, we just need to get together.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that in summary, inspiration is a value add, right? Because I feel like for me too, I have, I feel like that's probably one of my value adds for my clients, right? Like I told you, like after I leave here, I'm gonna go visit one of my clients, go eat at his house right now,
right here locally. Yeah,
and it's like, and that's just one of the things. Like I love being friends with my clients, and the way that you have way more energy than I do. I know that for a fact. Shoot, I wish I had your energy, man. But
bless your heart, actually, man. Bless your heart.
That's a great segue, man. You are buff, dude. You're in shape,
bro.
You're in shape, bro.
I mean, I got the rower right there. I try to knock out some push-ups every day. I mean,
what motivates you to stay in shape, man? Because
you know what, man? When I was talking to you when I was walking around my complex here.
It's a beautiful complex. Guys, if you guys could just see this neighborhood, is gorgeous. Like I had to put the code in the gate to get in here, and these houses are huge with huge lots. Like this is like a very luxury kind of complex. It's a neighborhood out here. It's a beautiful luxury neighborhood.
Deers and bunnies in the front yard. I mean, it's all glory to God, man. It's really. It's just a blessing, but I walk around here, which by the way, it's beautiful, and you just soak up the sun, and you don't hear cars driving by hardly ever. There's deers and bunnies in the front yard, like I said, and you just get to think. And I make all my phone calls on my walk because my energy's flowing. Mm-hmm. I'm in sync with my thoughts. Yeah. And it seems like all my good ideas come out. So that's when I make all my phone calls usually. Yeah. If I have to be in my office, and I love my office. I made it like I wanted to come in here, and when Superman went in the phone booth, he come like he's a regular man. He come out, he was Superman. I wanted to be able to walk in my office and take the shirt off. Like that's how exactly what I wanted my office to feel like. Yeah. So that's the environment that I created, because you take a tree or plant, you see a plant's not growing. Do you blame the plant or do you blame its environment?
The environment.
So you don't blame it. You don't say, man, why aren't you growing? You like maybe need more water, maybe need better soil, right? So I wanted my environment to be what it was so I could be in alignment with the energy that I feel like I have, because I do feel like it's a gift. I feel like God gave it to me. That
message right there that you just said, for those of you hanging out with the wrong people and who ain't empowering you, that applies.
It does apply. It does apply. And I mean, all this stuff, I look at reels a lot on Instagram, and I see different things. I follow stuff like $1 Million Mentorship, $1 Million Mindset, all this. I feed. That's what I feed myself. I feed my brain that all day. I like watching cooking shows too. I love food. But I mean the working out thing. I feel better. I really do. Like, this Apple Watch is pretty cool. Apple has a really cool niche, man. This watch, if you're sitting down for too long, it says, "Hey, stand up."
Right. True.
Right.
Yeah. You know what, man?
You just feel better.
So, like for me, health has always been like a love-hate thing, right? Like I love when I start getting in shape, the benefits, the energy, bro, like everything gets better. But then like maintaining it, because then business comes, and I'm a single father, and then this and then that. Next thing you know, I'm like, damn, I just gained 30 pounds again, right? And then I'm like, okay, like right now, so my assistant who's here with us right now, if it wasn't for this guy, like I would not be working out at all. This dude, like literally, like in the morning, he'd be waking me up, like, bro, get ready, let's go. Because
that's a good friend. That's a good accountability partner, right? And that's key too. Accountability is huge, right? So I got my watch synced up, my significant other, and she's on her end, I'm on my end, and I see her calories going up every day. I'm like, man, I'm at like 200. She's at 850. 850. I gotta get my numbers up. So I feel that. You feel that. So we all know what we need to try to connect to where we're trying to go. Right. Those people we gotta latch onto, those habits we have to latch onto. So you put those things in place, right? And don't get me wrong. I always have my days. Like I didn't do a severe workout yesterday. I didn't do a severe one today. But usually during the week I'll do my workouts. But man, life is peaks and valleys. I got days, man, I'm like, I'm not gonna work out, or I might go for a week. I was like, man, I haven't worked out all week. But I know for a fact when I get back in flow and I'm doing something physical every day for myself, I know that I feel better.
Dude.
And if you do it for long enough, all of a sudden it's like it bothers you when you don't get up and do it, because it's that habit. That habit wants to get fed. The good ones want to get fed. The bad ones want to get fed. It's like, feed me. So if you're laying around all day, feed me. If you're up and moving, feed me. Your brain we're easily programmable human beings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's gonna be what it is.
Man, hey, these are gonna be good little clips on social media right there. You got the energy. So, a question about your.
I appreciate you bringing it out of me, man. Because it does take. It takes a pulley, and it's a push and pull kind of thing.
So is what I do, man. But like, I'm actually curious about your spouse, man. Like, so tell us about your partner. What does she do? Like, is she in the same industry as you? What is
same industry? She's been doing it for over 20 years. She's been doing it, and like I said, man, you attract who you are.
Yeah.
You really do, not what you want. I was in a phase where I was transitioning out of my previous company already, and I was kind of just looking for the next thing, but I didn't make a move because the opportunity just wasn't there. And when her and I came together, she just so happened to be doing the same thing. And she was already building a company. I was already building Champ Legacy and Private Legacy Group, which is the financial arm of my umbrella. So we just combined forces, and she's the most amazing, emotionally intelligent human being I've ever met. Other than my mom. Seriously. And she is she helped push me. She helped really shape me, and does every day. Like, she challenges me, and it's funny. Watch what you ask for. Watch what you ask for in a woman. Because when God gives her to you, you just might think that she don't, you just might try to fight her. You know what I mean? And if she's not persistent, if she doesn't have if she doesn't have it really in her to invest in you for the period of time it would take for you to wake up and be like, dang it, I did ask for that. She just might be gone. You know what I mean? I feel like I got very, very fortunate. Because I was reading something earlier. It said when somebody comes into your life that has a persistence and the energy to grow with you, then don't let that person out of your life. You know what I mean? Because that person may be challenging you. I'm ready to tell her, I was like, man, why do you keep picking me apart? I said that to her at one time. And she's like, I'm not picking you apart. She said, you're just in close proximity to me. And the people that are in close proximity to me, since she's hard on herself. So she's just naturally like that with people that she cares about. And there's only a small handful of those people. Right? So I'm not being attacked. I'm being made whole. In Jesus' name. Even wrote me that prayer. She wrote me that prayer right there, man, on the wall. She wrote me that.
Wow.
She wrote me that. She had it framed, and I put it up there so I can read it every day. And if I read it to you, it'd probably make you cry. And it has me in the background. We went up for a walk on a mountain. It has me in the background, standing and looking over a mountain. And
let's hear it.
That's a long. Oh gosh, really?
Read it to us.
So she says here, Buford Anton Leftwich III. That's my full name. Used to hate it in high school. Sounds like royalty. She says, you are a man after God's own heart. A man who will continue to seek first his kingdom and wisdom regardless of circumstances, because you know and have tasted the satisfaction and fulfillment that only the living water of God provides. Also knowing that he brings an abundance of peace and joy which overflows into the lives of those you bless with your love and companionship. She knows how I love her. She just knows me. Anton, you are chosen to serve because you understand that, I'm getting chills, because you understand that your life is the living sacrifice that God requires. And even when the will God has for you goes beyond your understanding and finite comprehension, you will still choose to walk down the narrow path, knowing he is present even in the valley of the shadow of death. In the midst of the storm, wind and rising flood, you will stand firm and not fall, because your house is built on solid foundation, the rock, our Lord Jesus Christ. Wearing the armor, you will rejoice in the midst of trials and persevere through pain, having hope and finding your strength in faith when tested, knowing that God will see you through, believing that Refinement builds character, making you complete, perfect, and lacking nothing. You are the salt and light God sends into this world to reveal his magnificent, uncompromising love and undying, relentless pursuit for us. In God's greatness and glory, in you, God's greatness and glory is unveiled, and the world will see your life's transformation as evidence and proof of his amazing power and desire to rescue, restore, and resurrect us from the death and captivity of sin. Despite the falls, you will always rise above on eagle's wings, but only under the coverings of God's love, mercy, grace, and glory. May God continue to bless you with territories so expansive that it is evident God is the source and only well you draw from. In the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen. That is a woman right there, man.
She wrote that for you.
She studies the word.
Yeah.
She says right here, the scripture she drew drew the words from. Those words are from her heart.
Yeah.
But they're also from scripture.
Yeah.
Man, I look at that, and when I got the package, it was like a big old package, and I did a little video. I was like, I got a package. And I was so happy, man. It's like when days are hard, sometimes I forget to read that prayer, man. But when I remember to do it, and I just look up, I'll be sitting right here, and things could be hard right then. People could be not giving me what I was hoping to get out of things that day, and I could look up there and read that, and it right back to the center.
Yeah, that's deep, man. You know, I feel like nobody's gonna understand you as an entrepreneur as much as another entrepreneur.
Oh, right? True. Oh, 100% true.
That's really tough when it comes to like relationships, right? Like when you have people that do people that are in different industries, right? Like it's really tough to get a teacher who values their education, their diplomas, and that's where their strength and confidence comes from, right, in themselves, to understand an entrepreneur who's like, hey, diplomas are cool and all, but,
right.
Like for me, what my strength is how many people I impacted with, and that has a direct effect on like my revenue and numbers, right? And like, because for us as entrepreneurs, at the end of the day, it boils down to numbers, right? So for someone to understand you that way, she's in the same industry as you, man, you're blessed.
100%, I agree. Thank you, brother, for that. I appreciate that, by the way. Reading that gives me chills. It really does.
So let me ask you a question, man, because I could tell that you are a man of God.
Absolutely.
100%, man. I look around the room, I see the Last
Supper, yeah.
The Last Supper, I see prayers everywhere. I see, do you feel, all right, because like me, I'm a Christian. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably, I'm I got my relationship with God, right? Like, we got our thing going on. I know, I read the Bible. I've gone to church. I've done my thing. Do you feel like, do you feel like it's absolutely necessary to have a relationship with God to be successful?
Oh gosh, that is a good That's a good question. I don't mean to revert back to the things that I keep saying. It's just I have a very specific set of beliefs, and I take them everywhere. Yeah. Okay. I believe that if you think you don't need him to be successful, then you will live your life looking for the things that you feel like will make you successful without him. And if you feel like you need him, your brain will condition our brains to look for and find the things in our life that connect to him and then relate to what we do. So what we go out and eventually accomplish will all be, we know, because of him. Because I can go out and build a multi-billion-dollar business, and people who don't believe in God they'll say it was whatever. They'll say it was luck. They'll say I worked hard. They'll say whatever. And people who do believe in God may say, it was all him. Yeah. That he just blessed. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I feel like I need God to do what I'm doing. That's how I feel. how can I say that everybody needs that? I mean, it's hard for me to say that, you know what I mean? Because it'd be like me saying that you have to row to get buff, I feel like, or you have to do 250 push-ups a day to get huge muscles. You know, I'm nowhere near where I want to be physically fit wise, but I'm on a journey, and this whole life is a journey, I feel like. So that's my mentality.
Yeah, I like to think about it like this, man. Like when it comes to God and my business, God and my money, God and everything that is in my life, period, none of it belongs to me. My son, my
it's
son,
all borrowed.
Yeah, my son's not my son. You know, my son is God's son, and you know he put me in. You know, he chose me to protect my son. Right, my money was never my money. My money was God's money, and he chose me to manage that money on his behalf, right? And also too, like there's also been times too where like, man, there's times where I stray away from God. I'm human, and you know what?
Of course, absolutely. The world is loud.
Here's what's crazy about this though, Anton, because my company, we have, you know, mainly people in the Philippines. Philippines is a Catholic country, Catholic and, you know, Christian, pretty much the same thing, a little different, but I have a lot of believers in my company. Right. And I honestly feel like, because there's been periods, man, where I've gone through crazy depressions. I've like cursed God. Like I'm mad at dude. Like what the,
understandable. Right. Understandable.
You know, but I feel like one of the reasons why we haven't failed is because I have so many believers in my company where if I'm not praying, I got 100 other people praying.
There you go.
Like, you know, and then it's like, it's just, I feel like because of that, like, we can't fail because, you know, even if I did something wrong, you know, God is still watching over all these other people in my company, right? Which is interesting because I usually don't talk about like religion or God or anything, but
but if it's there, it's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like the fact that you point that out because you're attracting, like we said, you attract who you are. Right.
You know,
totally. If you're not praying, somebody close to you is praying for you.
Well, too, here's another thing, right? Because like I feel like I'm pretty like when people look at me, like, you know, listen to my podcast, they listen to Hot Talk, I cuss a lot. I drink. I love hookah.
I'm working on that. I'm working on the cussing part too. I'm doing a lot better.
You know, I haven't cussed much since I've been here. Actually, I know I probably cuss more like, everywhere else. You're a positive influence on me today.
That.
But okay, so what was I saying? All right, so when it comes to me, I remember I was at the cigar lounge, right? And this is what, like, I really do believe, like, God, you know, he makes us go through what we go through to help other people, right? Like, man, I had like so many fucked up things that happened growing up to me, and a lot of people have, right? And there's people that go through like, man, things that they don't deserve, mental abuse, physical abuse. Like there's people that have so many just messed up things that happen to them. And I think that it's our choice whether we want to, you know, it's happening to us or it's happening for us, right? Like it's a mentality.
That's true. That's true. That's a big one too.
Yeah, and I remember one time I was sitting at the cigar lounge, and you know, there's a lot of like really successful people there. They're sitting on tons and tons of money, right? They're sitting on tons and tons of money, and you know, retired people. But I just remember I was talking to this one guy, and he just felt like, you know, hey man, this is it for my life. Like, you know, nothing's gonna happen, I'm not going to go into detail, but ultimately, though, by the end of our conversation, I felt like, you know, God put me in that position. He put me through what I went through. He, you know, smoking cigars. I'm in a place where it's probably not the holiest place in the world, but, but you know, like I was able to uplift this man and, you know, help him regain hope, right? But like I would have never been able to help him had I not been who I was or am, and if you know if I just wasn't who I am, didn't have my cuss words, didn't love my cigars, didn't like, you know, love my vulgar humor, all that, I would have never been in that position, right? And I feel like that's also like why like God had like people around him who were not perfect. Right, so he had some people around him who were like pretty fucked up, right? And those are the people that are spreading his word, right? He didn't have the perfect people, you know,
right.
But anyway,
imagine that too, because if you find you can relate to you can relate to one of them. Yeah, one of them has your story probably. If you look at all of us, one of them has our story, you know, in some facet, right? Yeah. And I mean, I'd love to hear more about your story, man, because it sounds intriguing. Yeah, and I feel like, you know what, like what you said though, it didn't happen to you, it happened for you.
Yeah, that's, you know. So, hey, Pepe, how deep are we in? 45 minutes. Oh, perfect. Cool. So shout out to Pepe. By the way.
Yeah, shout out to Pepe.
Shout out to Pepe. But yeah. So Pepe, man, like, you know what's crazy? Do you have anybody younger that you're mentoring right now? Like, he's 18. Like,
yeah. Seriously? Yeah, man, you got a grown mindset. You got a grown mindset.
You can't tell because of the beard, but
no, seriously. Yeah. Wow. That's. Bro, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for the path you got in front of you.
Oh, man.
You're getting this now? Now?
Yeah. Hey, but
if I got this, imagine somebody grabbed hold of you, or you were open to someone grabbing a hold of you when you were 18 and getting this. Mm-hmm. Come on, man. Talk about an investment that compounds.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. It's crazy.
You got some compound interest coming.
Yeah, man. I highly believe in like the 3 levels of mentorship, right? You have your mentors, the people who are giving you the game. You have your peers, right? People who are at the same level as you. And then you have the people who you're constantly, or who you're mentoring, right? And I think you always have to have those 3 levels going on. And
I like that.
And you know what's crazy is like Pepe being around me, he gets the knowledge, he gets the connections, he gets all that. Him being around me though, he lives with me now. Like he actually moved in with me so that we could build this business even bigger. But like now I get his energy. Right?
I like that.
So it's a nice little trade off.
Absolutely.
But do you have anyone you're mentoring right now?
Yeah, several people. Yeah, I mentor our agents. You know that we bring on, that we decide to partner with, because we have a growing, flourishing brokerage, and a lot of them are younger. You know, so I think one of them is in his early 20s. Good kid too, hard worker. Yeah, and you know he listens to direction. You know?
Tell me who you wouldn't mentor, like someone who someone who is asking you for mentorship, but like you're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to mentor you. Like, tell us why you would say deny somebody.
Oh gosh, it's a great question. Jeez, you know, throughout my life, in my experience, I've always just taken the opportunity to pour into people. So, like this current young fellow that I'm mentoring right now, he never came straight up and asked me, "Hey, can we be my mentor?" Just over the 6 months that I was working with him when he first got started with us, he just talked to me all the time. And I kept pouring into him, kept making deposits. And one day I heard him on the phone. He was just like, I'm talking to my mentor. He was talking to his adopted kid.
Okay.
Pretty rough story.
Yeah.
But the kid's got grit. And he gets on the phone, and he doesn't care who tells him no. He just keeps on going. And he calls me. He says, "Man, I made this many calls today. I did this and that today. I did this and that." And then all of a sudden, and I was like, "Wow, you just called me as mentor." Yeah. You know, and it kind of hits like that. And then, because there's been times where I thought I was mentoring somebody, but they really weren't listening to anything that I said. You know what I mean? I could have easily just written them off, but I never did. Yeah. I would always take that time to, if they were willing to, if you got the guts to call me and ask me for help, then I can't turn you down. I don't have it in me to do that. What
if you tell them, you know, they come to you with the problem, you give them the answer, you know, follow up with them, and then they talk about the problem later. They didn't take your advice. And,
good question.
You know,
right.
What do you do with
right? Run in circles. Well, then I start holding them accountable. I say, listen, you know, it's okay to have. I ask them a question. I say, do you know how you're growing? And they'll say, how? I say, when you have different problems. We're talking about the same thing we've talked about last week or a month ago or whatever. So I just want you to understand some perspective. That's how you know when you're growing, when you have different problems. So we've talked about this a couple times now. Yeah. And let's get on. Let's move on. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah, I feel like for me, like the way that I've progressed in my life, I'm very blunt now, right? Like especially like when you were describing your spouse earlier, I felt like I could relate to that, because the closer you are to me, the harder I am on you. Right, like my family gets it the hardest.
Right.
My son gets it the absolute hardest.
See,
right?
Because you care.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too, is like when I care and I'm putting pressure on you, because like I fucking call people out, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like, dude, don't fucking call me until you get this done. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't get this done, like don't even come back. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, this is my mindset now, right?
Yeah.
And when people do get stuff done, right? Because like my business partner, who, you know, he's charging like $750 an hour right now for his time, right? He's getting it. For me, I'm like, you know, I don't know that I want to start charging people for my time for advice, but also I don't know that I want to continue talking, or I know that I don't want to continue talking to people who don't listen. Right. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm like, I'm just blunt. Like if you, especially, and that's another thing too. It's like, I feel like as we grow, we are the, what's that word? Birds of a feather flock together.
Birds of a feather flock together. Yeah.
Right? So we are, how's that saying go? We're gonna be like the 5 people around us, or
if you take the sum of the 5 people you hang around the most, that's probably where you're gonna be. Like right.
Exactly. So if
the average of them makes $75K a year, you're probably gonna be within 25% of that range.
Exactly.
So. That's what I heard one person say. There's kind of different variations, but that's about it.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, like I'm sure like if I started hanging around you more, I'd probably get more in shape because you in shape, right? Like or whatever.
And you help me stay on my game of being in shape, because now I feel like I'm accountable now.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, because it's like, you know, you appreciate that about me and you pour that into me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I mean, I don't want to let me down.
Yeah.
Because that's the energy that I come with. That's what I bring to the table, right? So I don't want to fall off that because I want to help pull you up, right?
Exactly.
In that aspect. And there's going to be a lot of ways in life that you help pull me up. My mentors always just say that you should always have someone you're pulling up and someone who's pulling you up. Yep. And like there's a 3-tier thing you were talking about, right? Yeah. And there'll be people who are on the same level, but it should always go both ways.
Exactly. So
I like that, man. Oh, I got to say this too. Those people that you attract that do come to you for service, they'll be because of all the value and all the energy that you've already created, everything you've already put out there, everything God's already blessed you to do, right? They come into your center of influence, right? Mm-hmm. And as long as we're moving and you're pushing that envelope and you keep going forward, Pep is in your circle of influence. You're in his circle of influence right now. You guys are in close proximity to each other. Mm-hmm. When you keep moving and this person close to you is not willing to keep moving, it becomes uncomfortable. And they will fire themselves. Yep. You almost don't even have to say, I don't want to do this no more with you. You will probably really have to say it. They just stop calling. Mm-hmm. They stop calling.
Yeah.
Because it's uncomfortable. Meanwhile, you're comfortable being uncomfortable. And I can't wait for my spouse to be introduced, me and her to be able to be introduced to the world where we're doing this in sync with each other, because we are planning on doing this together. Because I get a lot of these things. We talk, all this stuff comes out when me and her were talking. Mm-hmm. We choose to have such deep conversations, we had to record them. Yeah. When we first started, because they were so deep, you know. And she'll say that, like when you're in close proximity to somebody, and I was actually believing this for a long time already. While you're comfortable being uncomfortable, and other people around you are not comfortable being uncomfortable, mm-hmm. as you're moving, they just kind of fall off.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Dude, I would love to see you and your wife do a podcast together. Cause,
man, she's fire. When we get together, she's fire, man. Yeah, I can't wait. Like, it's coming.
If you look at look at how we're doing it, right? Look, iPhones and these mics, they were like $350,
right?
You know, for the mics, they last 15 hours, right? And dude, you could literally like go online, find a virtual assistant, hire them full time, and just record, upload the footage, send it to them, and then teach it. You have to teach it. You have to manage the people, right? Like that's why we're doing the agency right now, where we're gonna do like done for you, because most people don't want to manage it. But if you don't mind managing it, dude, one VA, you don't even need 2 cameras. You could just do one, right? We do 2 because we're we like to get a little fancy with it. But most if you look at like a lot of podcasts, they just do one angle, right? Just
right.
But
I'll get the whole thing.
But yeah,
I look forward to it. Champcast is coming. Champcast is coming.
Champcast, that's fire. I like that.
We had several names for it, but me and her, we love talking about relationships a lot.
Yeah.
We feel like a lot of the things we talk about should be heard out there.
Champcast.
And we document a lot of things. We've got so many bullet points and stuff like that. So when it does come, there's plenty of content.
So now, I usually like to end out these podcasts with, number one, something that there's somebody out there right now who needs, you've said a lot of encouragement.
Thank you.
A lot of encouragement on this podcast. You probably have been the most encouraging person that we've interviewed up to this point. Okay, like,
man, I'm honored, brother.
And I think
thank you for giving me the opportunity and the platform to speak with you and spend time with you to do that.
Of course, man. And I figured out your value add, right? Like, I figured out your edge, and I think your edge, man, like, dude, you have not let life beat you down. You are still extremely, like, so many people, like, I'm 30, man. I feel beat down sometimes, dude. Like, I feel like,
it happens.
Right? So it's like, they you're going to be like that daily dose on that Champcast. Like, people are going to feel down. They're going to go listen to your podcast. They're going to go to your Instagram, your LinkedIn. They're going to go look at your YouTube channel, right? Because they're going to, you're honestly, I see you as like an ET, man. Like, Eric Thomas.
Well, yeah, I know. I love him. I love Eric Thomas. I listen to Eric Thomas a lot.
Yeah,
I love ET. So I appreciate that.
You're on that. You have
means a lot to me.
You have that ET energy and that ET potential. So now, with that being said, man, and I want you to look at this camera because we're gonna, make a video for this on Instagram. But there's somebody out there right now who was in your shoes in your first year of insurance, and I want you to not just give them advice, but give them some tactics. Okay, because it's easy to say, yeah, be happy, smile, keep going, blah, blah. Give some tactics to the people right now in short form.
That's a good question. You have some good questions, Anthony. If I could go back and talk to myself 15 years ago, I would say just be real with about where you are. See your situation as it is, not worse than it is, and know, because right now you've done some things, and right now you understand some things about who you are, and you know which way you don't want to go. So latch on to the things that have to do with where you want to go, and let go of the things that have to do with where you've been and where you don't want to go back to. You should understand some things about yourself by now. You're not stupid. Okay? You understand what's going on. If you sit down, be real with yourself and ask yourself about what it is that's going on in your life right now, what it is going on in your head right now, what thoughts are you thinking that you feel like are going to move you forward, what thoughts are you thinking that you feel like are going to hold you back. You understand yourself. Okay, let's just be real. Okay, connect to the things that will pull you forward, detach from the things that are going to hold you back. And that's a good place to start. You're going to develop skills in the process of moving forward. You're going to hinder yourself in the process of not understanding that you need to let go of the things that are holding you back. So just understand that you're going to learn things through that process and keep latching on those things, develop those skill sets. I can say, sit here and be motivated every day. I'm not motivated every day. Okay. I have, like I said, life has peaks and valleys. You will have peaks and valleys. Relationships have peaks and valleys. Businesses have peaks and valleys. Just understand why you started in the first place and keep developing those habits that are going to keep. And I'm talking to myself right now. Anytime I talk to anybody or give anybody advice, I'm talking to myself right now. Seriously, I'm re-solidifying the belief of why I even started in the first place. So just understand who you are. Find out who you are, but understand who you are, what you're about, what you love, and keep connecting to that thing. I know that at the end of the day, nobody can tell me that I don't love hard. I know at least that. It's my minimum standard of excellence is I love hard. So if I can just keep connecting to that and do the next right thing, if you don't know what to do next, just take the step in front of you. If you don't know what to do, if you don't know what that step is, then just do the next right thing. And that's it. And let your heart pull you through, because you know when you do that thing that just got that, when you do that thing and you I don't know what that thing is, but when you do that thing that you like, man, yeah, you're like, yeah, okay, we're good now. We're going in the right direction. I don't know what that thing is, but when you do that thing, Like this is I don't know. This is me catching the Holy Spirit right now. I used to talk about God. I used to get all mad when people was in the church. People would be in the church, and I see him like, and then fall over. Like, why doesn't that ever happen to me? This is how I got chilled. This is how God gives me my Holy Spirit. Like I get it when I know that's a thing for me. That's a thing.
Yeah.
That's how I know it's right. It's good.
Yeah.
When I feel that, and when you get that thing for you, you'll know. And when it's the opposite of that, you'll know. And it makes the dissolution of information very, very simple, right? And just keep doing it or not doing it.
Okay. Now I got.
And that wasn't a short answer. I don't really have a short answer for that, but that's my truth. That's my heart.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So all right. Now how about this one? Hey Anton, I'm 18 years old. I'm gonna get started. I just got my life insurance license. I'm gonna go get my real estate license.
Oh, okay.
I also want to get a car dealership, and also I wanna flip houses too. Like,
Well, why do you want to do all that?
because millionaires have multiple streams of income.
Okay. Do you know what streams of income those are?
I mean, I don't know, like multiple, right?
Well, I mean, they could be getting 6 streams of income from one business.
What do you mean?
Well, for instance, some industries have one thing that you're doing, but you can develop multiple streams of income from that one specific venture that you're doing. Like insurance is not just one stream of income, it's multiple. You know, real estate doesn't have to be one stream of income, it could be multiple. So how do you know that you have to do all those things in order to have multiple streams of income? You know what I mean? And why? Why do you want to do real estate? Why do you want to do insurance? Like why? You know what I mean?
Because I want to make a ton of money.
Because you want to make a ton of money. Okay.
Yeah.
So then if you want to make a ton of money, what is it that you feel like, what is it that you've seen inside of that makes you feel like you would be able to attract the kind of money you're looking for?
When I look at the real estate agents, they got the nice suits, the gold watches and chains. They got the cars. You know, they drink the fancy champagne at the parties.
Right. Have you interviewed any of them?
No, I see it though. Like it's on Instagram.
Right. Well, I mean, it's flashy. It's real shiny.
Yeah.
I get it. You know what I mean? But I mean, do you think that all of them do it? That's how do you think that when they started, they just wanted to make a bunch of money, or do you think they feel like they had a skill set or some value that they were willing to develop and add to the market?
I mean, isn't that why everybody does business? They want to just make a ton of money.
I mean, I guess it could be a factor. You know what I mean? But I don't. It's up to you. If you believe that it's the factor, then maybe it's the factor. But for me, for most people, I would argue that it's just a factor. You know what I mean? I think that if you begin something with the outcome of making money, but in the process of doing that, you fail to develop some skill sets and some things that will bring value to that of which you chose to take on, the money will escape you.
That's good. I like that because I feel like, when one of the biggest things for me personally, and I wanted to see like what direction you were going to take it because, you know, like I get people all the time so I believe if you want to be extremely successful, you need to hyper focus. There's the saying, you know, chase 2 rabbits, catch none. Right.
Right. Yeah. Bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And most people are trying to build 3, 4, 5 things. They don't even have one off the ground. They don't realize they're never, ever going to be successful. Like literally never. It's like impossible for you to be successful when you're focusing on too many things. And also like, you know, there's a lot of people who'll make like $5,000, $10,000, you know, in 1 month and they'll feel successful. They're like, damn, I made it. And it's like, it's like, hold on, whoa, hold on, wait a sec, you know, because like for Outsourceplug, I remember like, man, when we first did like 500 a month, I'm like, man, if we could ever do 1,000, you know, and then we had a month where we did like, you know, 2,000. I'm like, man, if we could ever do 4,000, and then you know, if we could ever do 10, if we could ever do 20, if we could ever do 50, if we could ever do 100,
kept looking to the next thing. You kept looking to the next, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
but like the thing is though, is like we would have never got there if it wasn't for hyper focus, and even still to this day, like you know, within the next 3 years, I want to take this thing to 10 million. And decide if I want to hold it or if I want to sell it, right? But you don't ever get to that level because, you know, especially with social media, like social media is tricking people and, you know, putting out a lot of
big time
false messages like, hey, you got to do all these different things where it's like, no, if you just became an expert at making a pen, and just focus on making like the very best freaking pen you can.
Yeah.
There's a multi-million-dollar business right here.
Yeah.
Multi-million-dollar business.
And people sell frozen water.
Yeah, dude. No,
you go get a bag of ice right now.
Yeah, dude, there's the people that sell the water, the freaking cubes for whiskey, like for the bars and stuff. Like, it's just amazing. Like, there's literally money everywhere. But I think with that being said, though, Anton, first off, everyone who is still watching, thank you so much for for supporting this podcast. Anton, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what is the best way to do so?
Oh, at Champ Legacy CEO on Instagram, or if you just at Champ Legacy CEO, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. A lot of platforms we're in development right now. So, but at Champ Legacy CEO, that will make sure you find me.
Who should reach out to you, and who shouldn't reach out to you?
Gosh, it's a good question. I mean, yes, a lot of good questions, brother. I honestly go back to that. I just wouldn't turn anybody down. If anybody rung my phone right now and just asked for help, if I could help them, I would help them. And I may have some suggestions.
Yeah.
To make the relationship as fruitful as it can be. But if somebody wants to get into the insurance industry and they want direction.
Okay.
Not somebody who's going to try to, necessarily recruit them to be on their team or make them a part of their business, who wants genuine direction and perspective, then reach out to me. You know what I mean? If you're having a bad day, you just want somebody to talk to, you want to connect to some energy, reach out to me. Be about what you say you are, and, be real, and we can have a real conversation.
There you go, guys. There you have it. Anton, appreciate you being on the podcast.
Most definitely. Appreciate your time, brother.
Yeah, you guys have a wonderful day. We're out.
Take care.